Hello everyone and welcome back to Destiny Tunes. It's Destiny here. So from the Lion King to the Midnight Gospel, loss has always been a topic that's been discussed in animation, whether it be targeted towards children or adults. And with death being a natural part of life, it's important that we all be informed on the different ways that it could look and the many different ways that we as humans react to it. When it comes to the way that loss is presented in children's programming, there are so many different ways that this topic is shown to its young viewers. There are cases where the topic is quickly glossed over, never meant to be fussed over, and then there are other cases where the series will dive deeper and the premise of an episode can end up revolving around death due to aging and the fear that comes with getting older. When it comes to loss, there are so many episodes that I could have talked about because honestly there's just so many good ones out there. But today I wanted to talk about an episode that I don't really see a lot of people talking about and that I feel did a decently good job of discussing loss in a way that would make sense to children, and it also took the time to talk about grief, which is always a plus in my book, and that is the episode of Alvin and the Chipmunks titled Cookie Chomper III. So this episode starts off with Dave informing Simon that he'll be late due to work and that Simon will have to be in charge of his other two brothers, Alvin and Theodore. Simon of course takes on this role very seriously and makes sure that his brothers are in bed in a timely manner. Now, while in bed, Alivn begins his usual antics by trying to scare Theodore with creepy stories, and unfortunately for Theodore, he is successful in scaring his brother, but then they all end up hearing an unfamiliar sound and believe that there may be something paranormal in their house. With Dave not being home, the brothers must rely on each other to check out this mysterious sound, although Theodore is the only one actually brave enough to go and check out what this creature is underneath the cloth. To everyone's surprise though, it isn't a monster underneath the cloth, but a stray kitten that got into the house from a window that was left open. The boys take a special liking to the kitten, especially Theodore, who is dead set on keeping this kitten. The only brother that doesn't really seem to be enthusiastic about the new kitten would probably be Alvin, who seems to be more annoyed about the responsibility that comes with owning a pet. After they've all agreed on keeping the kitten, they give him the name Cookie Chomper III, and they try their best to keep the kitten a secret from Dave, who just so happens to be allergic to cats. Now over time, Dave does end up finding out about the kitten, but instead of kicking him to the curb, he surprises not only Cookie Chomper III, but also the boys with a brand new collar, officially adding him to the family. The family seems to be overjoyed with the new addition. Well, maybe besides Alvin, who was still annoyed about having to clean up after the kitten, but they all end up playing their part in ensuring that Cookie Chomper III is happy and comfortable in his new home, from his new name, new collar, a nice warm bath, and even the cutest new bed. Unfortunately, the same night that the bed is gifted would end up being the night that everyone's life took a turn for the worse, because sadly the window in the boys' room is left open, and in pursuit of a bug, Cookie Chomper III ends up falling out of the window and is now out of the safety of the house. The next morning, a man ends up knocking on the door, frantic and filled with guilt. He apologizes to Dave with Cookie Chomper's collar in his hand, stating that the kitten had ran out in front of his car, and without enough time to slow down, he ended up running over the kitten and sadly ending his life. Out of all of the directions that the series could have gone in, I do like the fact that they went the route of a pet dying, seeing as this is probably the most common occurrence of death that children will experience throughout their young life. But at the same time, as a cat owner, this episode was really painful and emotional because all I could imagine was my own kitten, Moria, in some sort of unfortunate accident. This one just really hit really close to home. Losing anyone you care about hurts, even if they are a pet and even if you haven't had them for a very long time. So of course we do end up seeing the different ways that these brothers grieve the loss of their beloved Cookie Chomper III. Theodore struggles with denial, which is usually the first stage of grief. He struggles with accepting the fact that Cookie Chomper won't be coming back home and truly believes that he's just lost somewhere out there in the world. Now, Dave does try his best to comfort Theodore and explain to him what happened to Cookie Chomper III, but a heartbroken Theodore still can't yet come to terms that he won't see his kitten anymore. And sometimes denial is the only thing that helps when words can't quite grant you the comfort or security that you need when handling these intense emotions. Now, with Alivn, we see him trying to get rid of all living things around him, like the plants in the family's home, for example, and he even runs off a woman walking her dog because he doesn't like the idea of live animals being near his home. The idea that all living things die is a hard concept to explain to a child, especially one that just had to live through loss, because even as an adult, the idea that everything around you will die eventually is still something that's very difficult to process. And lastly, with Simon, we see him struggling with depression. He sits curled up on the floor next to the bed that he gifted Cookie Chomper III, quietly declining all of Dave's invitations to go to the places that he loves and doing all of the things that he really enjoys, which is really sad to see, especially from characters that are this young, not showing any interest in the things that they've previously really enjoyed and loved. Just goes to show us how deeply hurt these characters are over the loss of their kitten. All three of the brothers take turns blaming themselves for the death of Cookie Chomper III, and Dave tries his best to explain to the boys that sometimes things happen and it's out of our control. I really like that this part was included because I feel like a lot of the times we as humans like to punish ourselves when bad things happen in our life, but it's important that people both young and old understand that life happens, and although there will always be would've, could'ves, and should'ves, accidents do happen, and not everything we do should be connected to some sort of chain of unfortunate events. Now, Dave does a good job at redirecting the boys' negative emotions by saying that instead of blaming themselves, they should take the time to properly grieve Cookie Chomper III while also honoring his life and keeping his memory alive within their hearts. The episode also includes a very heart-touching song that explains the importance of making memories and cherishing those around you. They paired this very touching song with a montage of footage seen throughout the episode of the family interacting with Cookie Chomper III, and honestly, if I would have seen this as a child, I would have been sobbing, just boo-hoo crying, because as an adult, I felt my throat tightening up because again, all I could think about was my own cat and thinking about all of my memories with him, both good and bad, and just cherishing everything that I've ever experienced with him. And when the very touching song is over, we see Dave add Cookie Chomper III's collar to the collection of the family's memorabilia as a way to continue to honor his place within their household. When it comes to the way that I would like for a children's series to present the topic of loss and the feelings that come after it, this episode did a really great job because they took us, the viewers, through every stage of these characters' relationship with Cookie Chomper III. We see the family bond with Cookie Chomper III, which helps us to understand why his loss was so impactful to the family. The series then presents Cookie Chomper III's death in a way that isn't sugarcoated, but also isn't inappropriate, so that we, the viewers, also end up feeling some sort of emotion about the loss of this character, but it also helps us to understand what is to come after Cookie Chomper's death. The episode then presents to us 3 different ways that someone might end up dealing with grief, whether it be denial, avoidance, or depression. These are very real ways that a child or an adult might end up coping with loss of someone that they truly cared about. Now, Dave is the cherry on top of everything that we've seen throughout this episode, because the Chipmunks having a strong support system through Dave is as important as everything that we've seen in the episode. Not only did Dave give the boys space to feel the emotions that they needed to feel, he also provided them the opportunity to take those negative feelings that they felt about the situation and turn it into something that could end up making them feel better about the circumstance that they're in, rather than being riddled by guilt. Now, this is important for a young developing mind, also just any mind. When it comes to death in relation to children's programming, it can be a little tricky, because where do you draw the line? How much is too much before it gets too dark, and what is enough to actually help a child understand? I feel like this is one of the constant struggles pertaining to children's programming, especially when you want to teach more serious life issues. But I will always praise the series for at least trying to educate children on the more harsher parts of life, because if your parents don't teach you, someone's gonna have to teach you, and I would rather it be someone who actually has your best intentions in mind. But what do you think? Are lessons around grief and loss necessary in children's programming, or is that something that should be completely up to that children or that child's guardian? Let me know down in the comments. But with all that being said, if you made it to this part in the video, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you liked it and that you enjoyed it. And if you did, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video in the future. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have an amazing week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!